Gilbert back to Kerr. Kerr! Oh yeah, go 100!
We're inside the Indigenous dressing room here. They are led by Tallisha Harden, who plays her 8th All Stars game today.
Oh, really?
Everything is going on.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, I just think of everything.
Josh, Tallisha, Yama, thanks for coming down and having a yarn with us this morning. So just thought it'd be good to catch up and have a yarn, given October's Mental Health Month, and 10th of October is World Mental Health Day. And obviously for us, you know, we've got this broader concept of mental health being social emotional well-being that lots of mob hold on to as a more sort of holistic concept. So just thought it'd be good to catch up, have a yarn about what mental health or social emotional well-being is to each of you, and really what you do to maintain strong mental health or social emotional well-being. So, Josh.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us down here too. And yeah, look, I think you know, for me, mental health is a lot of different things. You know, I used to have an idea of what I thought about it, and as you get older, as you learn to become more yourself and become more entrenched in culture and who I want to be as a man, you know, there's different things about mental health, you know, for me, and it's hard because my perception of it is probably, I guess, not what a lot of people want to hear, and that I think there's times in life, there's people that go through their own battles and secret battles that are actually really tough on people, but then I think the norm now these days is when anyone has something go against them, they want to, you know, blame their mental health or anything. But I just know for me as a man, I went through a lot of struggles when I was younger, and they certainly played on my mind. But then, you know, for me, I thought, you know, I had these dramas going on with, you know, relationships, rugby league, things weren't working out. I thought everything was coming to an end. And then I sort of thought to myself, you know, how would I tell this to someone that's a kid that's just been diagnosed terminally ill or something, you know, like, do I really have a mental health problem with me? So, but then I've seen people on the other end of the spectrum when life is just, some people just go through the toughest challenges ever, and they're people that there's, you know, in my opinion, that go through tough things, but then there's other ones where I think, you know, people do have other struggles, but someone's always going, I guess, a little bit tougher in most situations. So I know that's probably not the answer a lot of people want to have. You know, I've been in the down and dumps, had anxiety, had all different things, but you know, I just had to look at myself in the mirror, and I think that's where my culture come into it, because as you know, as the man in our culture, we need to be the pillars of our families, and we need to be the ones that go out, the hunt, to bring home, provide the food for our families. And you know, I think as tough as things have been for me in the past, you just need to learn on those, grow for that mental health, I guess, and that side of it, and you know, be the man for your family that they need to have.
Yeah, for sure. And you've raised a couple of good issues there. Like, it is good to be able to put things in perspective at times. Yes, we do all go through tough times, and what we might consider to be tough may be really different for somebody else. So sometimes I think we really need to be able to just step back and allow ourselves to reflect on, you know, other things that are happening around us, and put things into perspective. And then resilience is the other thing that you're kind of yarning about there. And resilience for me has always been like a bit of a rubber band, you know, like we've all got resilience. And I think our mobs have been some of the most resilient on the planet. You know, we've had to face a lot of adversities over the last 200 odd years, and we continue to do that every day. But you know, we're still here, we've survived, and culture's one of the things that's kept us alive. But at the same time, resilience being like a rubber band, you stretch it too far, and I think for anybody, eventually it can snap. So, cheers for that. What about you, Tallisha?
No, thank you guys so much for having me. I guess for me, growing up in a big family, you taught from a young age to always give back. That's what we do as a mob. We give back, community first and foremost, always and forever, is to give back to those around you. And my family was no different, you know, all working community, health sector, public servants. So I was taught that from a young age, that I have to give back, and not just have to, but actually enjoy the process behind helping others, and especially those who might not have as much, or even if they do have as much, just whatever they need, you're always front up and you're there for them. So I guess for me, I took that on at a young age, saw mum and dad do it, saw my aunties and uncles do it. Nan always had the house open for anyone in the street who wanted to come over for a feed, for a yarn, for a cuppa. So I tried to instill that in my everyday life as well. And it's a blessing, but it also can be sometimes, you know, a bit of a a burden to carry too sometimes, because you take on so much and you don't know how to fill your own cup up because you're constantly filling up other people's cups, and you get that sense of gratitude and that sense of accomplishment from doing that, but then sometimes it just hits you and you realise you haven't taken care of yourself, and I found that happened to me quite a bit over the last 4 or 5 years. So for me it's about reconnecting and saying, okay, I'm really good at giving help, but how do I ask for help in return? And a bit prideful, didn't want to ask for help, didn't want to have those conversations, but met some really, really good people who gave me the resources and the tools to be able to ask for help, so that, it's like that whole put your own mask on before you help others type thing on the plane. So learning how to do that helped me, I think, become a better community person for others.
No, that's deadly. And one of the things that's always kept us strong in our communities and in our families is that notion of reciprocity, which I think you're just yarning about there. And reciprocity really does start with being prepared to give first, and recognising that we always have opportunity to receive something from that, and that keeps that natural process of reciprocity happening. And sometimes when we're feeling really down in the dumps, it's the best thing we can actually do for ourselves is pick ourselves up and go, what can I actually do for somebody else? Even though I'm feeling crap right now, what is it that I can do for somebody else in family or somebody in community? Because just being able to help, doing something for somebody else, comes back, it makes you feel good. So reciprocity is a real strong protective factor, and it's something that our mobs have used since the beginning of time. It's one of those principles that you'll find in our old ways, in our law. Doesn't matter where you go, across the mainland, up in the islands, that notion of being prepared to give so you have the opportunity to receive is always there. And I think, sometimes we need to look at how can we use the things that kept our mob strong since the beginning of time and use those in the 21st century sort of fashion to keep ourselves strong and moving forward today. So what are some of the things that you do to keep yourself strong and deadly day in, day out?
Probably for me is recognising when I feel like I am drifting away from culture a little bit and I don't quite have that connection sorted. I'm really lucky living in North Queensland at the moment. We've got a big mob of Torres Strait crew, so I feel like I've got that connection really sorted. But then when I'm away from North Queensland, might be further south where my culture lines aren't as strong, I can feel myself drifting a little bit and getting caught up in the big city lights and all the things that we love, the technology, the instant, coffees and whatever it might be. And sometimes it's just about going home and putting your feet in the sand and taking time out. And it can be hard with our schedules as well, especially as rugby league players, to stop and smell the roses and relax. So for me, it's about having time out, and when it's time out, it's actual time out.
Yeah, deadly. And when we reflect on this from that social emotional wellbeing perspective, connection is fundamental to that, and maintaining those connections is super important to maintaining our own social emotional well-being. What are some of the things you do to maintain connection to the things that are important to you?
Well, it's very similar too. Like you are right with our schedules, and they were so busy. And I'm from Straddie Island, my mob, and any chance we get to go over there, I just love being able to sit down, like you said, put my feet in the sand and just be amongst it and just be connected back with culture. But yeah, you are right with the schedules, and it's hard. And now having a new family like I have myself, I want them to, I'd love to experience that with them as well. But unfortunately now my journey's taken me back down south again. I've become a bit more, I guess, distant from my culture and that. So my culture with me is always strong. It's just my country that I wish I could grow up. I had my son, my firstborn son, and hopefully I wish to keep him connected with that. But just day-to-day life of doing the best I can to be a great dad and hopefully help teach him, my people, my country, my Kondamuka Nation's ways. And that's how I'm going to try and continue my culture.
That's awesome. And it's all we can do in life really, is try and be the best version of ourselves for our families and for our communities, and understanding that, while we don't have any control over a whole bunch of stuff that actually happens around us, man, we can always hold on to that fact that we get to choose to be a strong positive influence through what we choose to think, say and do day in, day out. And it's only 3 little basic things, think, say and do, but taking control of those things can really change how you feel and how you what you put out, and how you have influence over those things that you are connected to. And both of you were, you're both playing professional sport. You have to travel a lot. How do you maintain those connections when you are? So, constantly travelling around the place and don't have the opportunity to be back on country or necessarily being in community or with family.
I'm pretty loud when we're away anyway, and all the boys know exactly, and the coaches stuff. Yeah, so they know how I feel about culture and my culture. I pretty pump it up as much as I can when I'm around. But yeah, I'm just myself, I guess, in that sense. I am very loud, I'm very out there, and like I just said, if you ask any of the boys, they'll attest to that too. And I think if the more I speak about it, the more I bring awareness to it, and that's how I sort of keep, I guess, as connected as I can. It's something that it's always just with me anyway. So I don't know if I feel disconnected or not, but I'm always proud of myself, my culture. I make sure other people, whether they like it or not, they're hearing about it. Yeah, I know. So that's how I sort of keep strong with it too. And I guess, like I said, you have to ask other boys about it, because, geez, I've made their ears bleed sometimes talking about it.
Nah, but we get a great opportunity to be a positive influence in that space too. Like when we are loud and proud, we're actually taking the opportunity to educate others.
That's exactly right. That's why I love doing it. So yeah, you're right.
So that's a positive thing, not just for yourself because you get to express yourself, but I think everybody in the team gets the opportunity to learn the positive side of what it is to be Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander. There's so many beautiful things that we've practiced for such a long time, but unfortunately it's more often than not, it's just the negative stuff that gets highlighted. And so people start to frame us in a particular way. So I think when we get these opportunities to share the beautiful side of being Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander, that's a great opportunity to help re-educate other Australians, which is going to make for better relationships. What about for you, Tallisha? What do you do to maintain connection when you're at times disconnected?
Yeah, I'm super lucky. Like say with Joshy, I've got a really good crew of teammates around me, and we've actually got 7 or 8 from memory Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander girls in our team. So it's loud all the time, proper loud. But the best thing too is we've got girls from all different islands and communities. So for me, when I'm feeling a little bit disconnected, I'll go and lean on one of those girls, because they may have just been home, they may have gone and learned something different, just to get that little sense of, okay, I'm back, here we are, like we're good to go. Even just seeing Josh today, I'm like, that's my brother, See you in All Stars in February, let's go. Like it's just, when you see people who are like-minded and have the same values and, the same culture, that same spirit, it just makes you feel at home, like, so even just today being with you, Mob, like it's for filling my cup, filling my cup.
That's awesome. And culture is so important in terms of maintaining our own sense of well-being, and therefore when we're the best versions of ourselves, we get to be better for others. Is there particular things within culture that you feel do help fill your cup?
For sure. For me, it's definitely the dance side of things, and nothing over my life that I've been particularly strong at. I'm not the best dancer by any means necessary.
It's not a popularity contest.
Not a popularity, that's it. But I'm really lucky. I work at a school with about 150 girls from the Torres Strait. So we got constant dance practice, learning about dance. We invite people in to teach dance, and we're always up dancing. And for me, there's honestly, like I might have the sorest legs from training or be slack, but as soon as that music starts, that drum starts going, everyone jumps up, we all just get in a line, and it's just the best time. So for me, I love dance practice. So yeah, it's one of my favourite things.
No, that's awesome. And dance is all about us giving our energy back to Mother Earth and thanking her for what she's provided us. And our old peoples, again, doesn't matter where we are, our old peoples have always understood that the more we look after Mother Earth, and part of that is being prepared to dance and provide our energy back to her, she'll continue to nourish and feed us and keep us well. What about for you, Josh?
Well, I'll say something along the same lines. When we get in the All-Stars camp and you see all the boys and want to do the dance practice, like you said, we have our legs sore. That's why our legs, you used to see, it's crazy. It's like a known thing for the last few years.
So if we lose the game, it's because you're dancing too much.
Everyone's legs the whole time. It's so, but everyone wants to keep doing it. That's the thing. That's the best part about it. Like you said, it fills your cup up. Like, just going in, we speak about it every year in All Stars. We get the opportunity to go in all together, and you meet these young kids with fresh faces, and it's the best part is that some of them they probably lighter skin than most, and then they're on a journey of discovery of who they are, and just watching them dive headfirst in, what it's like, and they want to learn, and that's what fills my cup up. And you have guys that, when I grew up, you had people saying you don't even look Aboriginal, you did this and that, but it's like, well, that's when you're young, you don't really understand it, like how people made that made other people feel like that, but then you learn who you are yourself, and that's I was a journey of discovery like that, and I wasn't really proud of who I was really as much as I should have been until like later in high school when you become more of a role model for people. So what fills my cup up is like those things, like you just said about the dancing and that. Like when we go into All-Stars camp, everyone just comes in together, and I remember how shy I was when I first come in, but now I'm obviously one of the loudest, proudest ones there. Watching these young kids come up, and then our legs are dead from training, but then, and then we honestly go to like 1 o'clock in the morning just doing these shake legs. But my legs are actually shaking at the end of it, but you know, like, that's one of the best, most fulfilling things too. We say at every camp is like how full everyone's cup is at the end of it, and then that's something that is for me that certainly fills my cup up.
Nah, that's awesome, man. And I've witnessed those wobbly legs at the end of some of those camps, so I completely understand it. You know, we're fortunate enough to be sitting here right now, literally a swim away from country for you. So, how does it make you feel being in this place?
Oh, it's just like, I don't know how to explain it, but if people have been away from home for so long, and you know how, like, say you're from a town somewhere and you go to a big city or something, and then you're on your way back and you pass that sign where it says welcome back to wherever town you're from, and you have that feeling I'm home. You just get that when you're down here. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I'm sure you guys would be the same, because you just have this, you know, sometimes when we get on the barge to go over there, it's just, you just have this feeling like I'm heading home, and that's probably the best way I can describe it. Is you just feel relaxed at home, like at peace, and it's like, unless someone has that idea in there, that's the best way I can describe it. Is if you're from somewhere, you go away for a while and you come back and you just, I'm home. You see, you just have that sign of relief, and that's how I feel about being around this area. I wish I got, you know, I was here for a little bit of time with football, and I wish I took more advantage of going back over the country now, but I just probably took it for granted knowing that it's always here. But yeah, it's one of those things, moving away now makes you appreciate what you've had. So,
and it's something a lot of the young fellas that I work with, you know, in professional sport, I'm constantly reminding them that it's okay to leave country to pursue your career, your goals, your ambitions and stuff, knowing that you're doing that for a greater purpose, to be able to give back to family and community. And that country's not going anywhere. No. Country been here for millions of years and she ain't going anywhere. So as long as we're coming back, you know, and I think it's really important that we do remind ourselves of the fact that we can come back anytime. We can just put our feet back in that ground and reground ourselves, recenter ourselves, fill our cups back up and be able to go back out. And, you know, I have these yarns with people all the time about, you know, when you look at the constant battle between the kangaroo and the dingo, you know, whenever that kangaroo's being sort of challenged by the dingo, what he does is he escapes to a safe place, and that safe place for that kangaroo is the water. Because he's a great swimmer and the dingo's not such a great swimmer. He's only got his little yappy head above the water. So that it flips the script and the kangaroo's in control. So the water is a safe place for that kangaroo. What's that safe place for you?
Before she passed, it was always Nan's house. Nan's house was the absolute best. That's where I just felt most comfortable, most myself. Knew I'd get a clip on the ear if I'd, you know, messed up, or I'd get a hug if I'd done the right thing, and everything in between. So yeah, Nan's house was always the safe place, and I miss her a lot. And you know, she's up in the dream time, and I'll see her again sometime soon, I'm sure. But since then, my safe place is with my family. Just always, you know, still with my family, my partner, my dogs. We were talking about our dogs before. Got some wild sausage dogs and a pug. So yeah, I just love being connected with my family.
That's awesome. I think my grandma must have been a magpie, because I just got back from country yesterday and I was down there doing some work, and I got clipped by a magpie on the ear. So maybe my nan was a magpie, because I used to get those same clippings from her when I needed to pull my head in. So. It's really important at times that, and we started this conversation about yarns around filling our own cup up. And it's really important that we recognise that it's not selfish to self-care. I think as mob at times what we've done is we've allowed ourselves to fall in that trap of being a member of a collective group, you know, bigger group, being at the mob or just being our little families means that we have to just give all the time. And at times that does lead us to, like you were saying, to kind of become empty and not feel like we have anything left to give. And so I think it's important that we bring ourselves back at times to recognise that self-care is the most important thing in terms of being the best version of you for that collective, you know, because if I'm only half full, I can only give half of me to my family or to my mob. But if I allow myself to take time out, to reconnect, to do the things that fill my cup back up, I'm the best version of me for the mob. So how do you recognise that time in yourselves that you've got to tap out and look after yourselves?
Well, it's crazy because I guess I'm sort of similar going through that sort of journey right now. Like I said before about my sort of struggles I had in the past, I sort of switched myself off and learned to rely on myself. I didn't want to rely when I went through my struggles of, when I had my mental health stuff going on, that I didn't want to rely on my friends and family. I felt ashamed, if I'm being honest, and I know we want to change that norm, but I just felt like that was my self-growth, and the way I got out of that was I relied on myself. I looked at myself in the mirror and said, what do I want to be? What kind of man do I want to be? And I think I gave myself that much self-care that I learnt to just rely on myself. Then now I have my partner and my son. I probably need to have that feeling of being able to give a bit more back to them, because I've always been this sort of stubborn, because I just knew what it's like, as a man, and then you get stubborn and then you learn the self-care, and then I don't find myself giving back as much as I should or could. So my partner's helped me out an enormous amount of deals. I'm a work in progress, unfortunately. And she'll,
we're all a work in progress.
That's exactly right. So, yeah, I think the most important thing people can do is have that self-care, like you said. And what you said was right, that you need to learn how to switch that to be able to give back to others, because I'm doing my best at it. And I think I want to look back at myself in a year's time and just say how much I've grown in that area too. So, yeah, it's crazy to bring that up because I'm on that journey right now.
Oh, that's awesome. And as I said, yeah, we're always all on a journey, and that's a really important thing to recognise is well-being's not an end point.
No, exactly. Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think once we fall into the trap of stop thinking about or stop working on it, that's when we tend to go backwards. So it's good that you see it as a journey, and therefore something that I've just constantly got to be working on and be willing to put effort into. What about for yourself, Tallisha?
Yeah, I'm always told by, especially my partner and family, that probably the best thing about me is I'm a yes man, but then the worst thing about me is that I'm a bit of a yes man. Just learning how to say no and set boundaries has been a really, really, I guess, tricky lesson for me to learn, because like you said, you don't want to let anyone down, and it can be hard to set boundaries and take time aside for yourself. And same thing, work in progress. My partner still just cringes every time I say we got this and this on for the weekend, and then we got this on Monday, Tuesday, and it's just everything fills up really quickly. But now I think I'm better at saying no to things that I can't quite get to, because like you said, you spread yourself way too thin if you just here, there and everywhere, whereas if I pick a few things that I know I can give 100% to, then I feel like it's better for not only me but for the people that I'm spending that time with. So yeah, just trying to say no more, but in a good way.
And setting healthy barriers and boundaries is actually okay. I think sometimes we fool ourselves into thinking that we're not doing the right thing by family or by mob if we do say no, and then that tends to start sprawling out into our professional lives as well, and so we just end up overcommitting and not feeling like we have any time for ourselves or for maintaining those connections that actually give us a strong sense of well-being overall. So we've all brought something down here to the beach this morning, that kind of represents ourselves and the important things to us and our social emotional well-being. Would you just mind just having a quick yarn about what you brought down and what it means?
Yeah, so I just I brought my flower down, so in Torres Strait Islander culture, for events, special things, dancing, pop a flower in our hair, just as a token of that culture, that connection. So this one was actually gifted to me by my cousin, love her, sister girl, Nina Shibasaki, so Gemat's mum. So Nina gave this to me. When I first moved to Townsville, I'd literally, moving from Brisbane, didn't have anything with me that was that felt like home. Nina gave me a beautiful necklace and she gave me this flower. So it's something that I always carry with me, especially when I play, because it doesn't matter where I go, as long as I've got it with me, then, who knows.
And it's small and you can take it anywhere you want. And that's sometimes, it's those things that seem so small, but they can mean so much, that can help us maintain those important connections. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I've just got a little photograph of this is the day that my life change. And like I said before, I'm a pretty stubborn guy, and to be in the business that we're in, you need to be sort of headstrong with a lot of things, and it's a tough job, and it's a dream that you got to make come true. And what comes with that usually is, when I met my partner, I told her, this is, you know, my dreams to play rugby league. It requires everything of me, and I'm sorry that if I can't be this and that for you. And she completely understood. But, you know, 3 years in now, and we had the birth of our first child and our little baby boy. It's weird because it's the first time in my life that the goalposts for me have changed, really, in that aspect. And like I said before, it's gone from me to them, and to, like we speak about before, about being, you know, strong Indigenous men. Is that my head right now is to protect and provide for them. So yeah, it's crazy doing this, because I was in a pretty bad way before I met her, and I had a lot of things going on, and she definitely changed my life for the better, and now she's given me a son. And yeah, it's crazy how life just changes, and this photo represents that. This is the day he was born, and yeah, I just can't. It's crazy the growth that I've looked back on myself and just think how much of a man I've changed too. And you know, there's an old saying that the life you lead is the life you teach, and I'm constantly trying to work on myself to be a better guy, so I can be a better father to my son.
Awesome, and thanks very much for sharing that photo. Like, obviously that's a really intimate moment for you and your family. So
yeah, it was crazy. I'm getting sand on it, so yeah, she'll kill me. If I'm not alive at the end of this, just know it was because of this photo.
But again, you know, it brings us back to that thought of, you know, we can't control anything, you know, in this big universe around us, except for those 3 little things of what we think, say and do. And you know, throughout that young fella's life, that's all you've got to do is be considerate in what you think, say and do, and you know, pump as much positivity into those things, and that will be a wonderful positive influence on his life. But you know, family is family, and at times family make mistakes, and we've probably all had challenges with family at different times. How do you navigate those difficulties when, you know, when we're left feeling disappointed, or we're left feeling angry with family, and family's so important to us?
Well, I think communication is the biggest thing that you can have, and it's probably a good topic to talk about that, and especially with the mental health month coming up. But yeah, I think communication is probably the biggest thing for me, because I've certainly had, you know, the people that try the most are your family, as you would know, but they're the people that care about you the most, and you only really get angry at the ones that you care about, because you know, at the end of the day, everyone only wants the best for you, and it probably comes out as different ways, and I know I'm certainly a big part of that. So, but my partner's helped me with that as a lot, because yeah, like I said, I'm stubborn, and you know, I've had a lot of dramas with that, but we've never gone to bed angry at each other. She's always makes sure which is I'm thank God for, because I would probably get a few more worse nights sleep. But no, you know, that's the thing. I think communication is one of the biggest things, and you know what, as easy as it is to say, it's one of the hardest things to do for some people, and it certainly was for me, because I'm a bit old school. I just think, well, I need to talk about this. You know, I just want to be angry, you know, but then over time, you know, she's broken me down, and I'm a happier man for it, put it that way.
Awesome.
Yeah, mine is been reflecting more on, like, kind of jumping off what Josh is saying, like, is there something I've done that maybe led to the communication breakdown? Because a lot of the time I'd be like, oh, you know, mum and dad or my cousin, what's going on? Like, they haven't done this or they haven't done that, and they've said this but they didn't do it, and you know, it's frustrating and all these things, and it snowballs and it spirals. And then I went, wait a minute, is there something I've done as well that could have helped, or something I've done that's contributed to this? So self-reflection, I think, for me has been a big part of my growth the last 4 or 5 years again, and I think that comes from growing up a little bit too, and you know, just being a little bit more independent away from family and things like that. I've always been really, I guess, reliant on having them really close by, but since moving to Townsville, I'm away from a lot of my immediate family. So yeah, just trying to communicate better, and if things, you know, go a little bit how I didn't think they were going to go, you know, what could I have done a bit better to make them better?
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, and I guess this conversation would bring me back to this roo skin here. So this has been through, you know, multiple ceremonies and stuff with me, and I take it everywhere when I go camping with me. And a few things that it reminds me of. One, it reminds me of the importance of family. You know, this roo is one of my totems, and it reminds me of the importance of those kinship systems, and that, you know, it doesn't matter where I go, I've actually got family. When I remember our ways, I just got to look out in that bush and I've still got family there. Might not be human beings, but I've still got family, and so it helps me remember that. But what it also helps me remember is when everything is stripped away, everything else is gone, who's going to be left there?
Yeah.
family, you know. And so we've always got family, despite any problems that we might have at different times, in our small families, in our houses, or our broader families. That family still love us, and family is still there, and there's always somebody in that group that we can rely on, and that we can talk to. And you know, that's why I always take this with me, because when I'm out in the bush and I've got nothing, it just reminds me that I still got family, and I can still go back and I can have those yarns with them when I need to. Thanks heaps for coming down and having a yarn with us today. Is there anything? What's one last thing that you'd like to leave with anybody around social emotional wellbeing, and anybody who may be experiencing some concerns with their social emotional wellbeing at the moment from these yarns?
My biggest one is probably just to trust your instincts and trust your gut, you know, and I think for me, I ignored mine for a long time and just kind of pushed how I was feeling and things aside, and you know, tried to be tough and tried to be a bit staunch with how I was feeling. So, but deep down I knew that there was something, you know, I was getting a bit anxious or a bit unsettled, and things weren't always going the way I wanted them to. So just to trust your gut and listen to the people around you, because they're, you know, you've got them in your life for a reason, those important people, and they know you best, and they've got your best interests at heart. So yeah, just to trust your gut, but also trust the people around you.
Yep, massive on that too. I reckon, yeah, you trust your own instincts, because I think at the end of the day, I know a lot of people that they go on social media and all these other people say this and that, and then they think they've got this. Well, just, I reckon one of the best things you could ever do is probably get a diary and just sit down with yourself and just talk to yourself for a little bit. And you know, my missus always gets up because I'm always muttering something to myself, but I'm my own best company. So yeah, but no, I just think, you know, just take some time to yourself, reflect on yourself. It's a bit weird at the start. I was really never. That's one of the things that helped change me. I'd just sit there and then I would just start off by writing something, and I'd only write one thing. It's one thing I was grateful for, or one thing that what I need to do the next day. And all of a sudden, as you get through a few pages in, I'm writing all these sentences, things, and that just helps, because I just think, you know, first person you need to sort of address if anything going on in your life is yourself. Have a chat with yourself, and then from that, I think, catch up with some mates, some close mates, have a chat with them. It ain't weak to speak, we all know that. But yeah, I just think if anyone's going through a tough time or anything like that, just take some time for yourself. And the world's a fast pace now, you know, you got your phones here, all this information, all these people want to talk to you and that. So it's just good to sort of slow down, put your feet in the sand, and just focus on yourself for a little bit.
Diudurai Gabaninda, from my heart and soul, thank you. Much respect, much appreciation for both of you coming down and having a yarn today.
Thank you, appreciate it, brother. Bye.
Oh, legend.
Thanks, sis.
Thank
That was unreal, eh?